It's Sid Rosenberg, online, on your mobile device, on your radio, right now. 640 Sports.
So those are my dreams, and these are my eyes. Stand tall like a man. It's time like a horse.
A very busy show today. Tamara Holder, Fox News, was here earlier. Lanny Davis, talking up Hillary Clinton, was here earlier, as was Hall of Famer Mike Ditka. Former Yankee great Roy White will be here at 9:30. Hopefully Lawrence Taylor, the great football giant, will be here as well before 10 o'clock as we celebrate our 3-year anniversary here on this wretched station, 640 Sports Today. We love this next guy. We love the National Review. It is a great, great read every single day. I first saw this guy in Meet the Press months ago. He's now making his third visit to this show. I've got two of his latest columns in front of me. Yes, Trump lost the debate, and Donald the whiner. It's our good buddy Rich Lowry. Good morning, Rich. How are you, pal?
Good. How are you?
You know, I saw some polls, and maybe Chuck mentioned this on Sunday in Meet the Press, Rich, where after the debate, there were polls that had Donald Trump as the winner and Donald Trump as the loser. That's how confused the American public was with what they saw last Thursday night. Right?
Yeah, I think that was the Survey Monkey poll that Chuck had, and it showed 19% of people thought Trump won the debate and 39% thought he lost, which to me seems like a fairly understandable reading, actually, because there's nothing in that debate that was going to make his really intense fans move off him. At the same time, I think that debate performance would cause more unease among Republicans generally. And you've seen that reflected in some of the polls, where he's still at the top, but some of his internals don't look so great. There was a USA Today poll that had him on top in Iowa, but had, by a 2-to-1 margin, people saying his debate performance made them less comfortable rather than more comfortable with Trump. But we still live in the summer of Trump. There's no doubt about it.
No, there's no doubt. I'll tell you what, I still like him, but I will tell you that night, and you can go back to my timeline, which you're my Twitter friend, I thought he was not very good. Had nothing to do with Megyn Kelly, had nothing to do with remarks that some deemed offensive. I could tell you I didn't, but some did. I just thought that he wasn't good. I heard the same 3 words all night, China and bankruptcy, and every time he was asked a question, it didn't seem like he was very concise and contrite in his answer. Again, nothing to do with the big controversy. I thought that night he wasn't very good.
No, he clearly hadn't prepared for the debate, and it showed. And some of his supporters complained he wasn't asked more substantive questions, but you look at his answers to the couple of policy-oriented questions he got, and they weren't any good either. So, look, if you can get away with it, I guess maybe this is the way you do it, but I'm not sure it's a formula for long-term success.
Right. I tell you that the guy, I guess, that everybody seemed to think did a very, very good job, although the numbers really haven't reflected that. I know you'd agree with that, Rich. Marco Rubio still kind of buried there, tied for 5th, but most people thought he did very, very well that night.
He did do well. There are other polls that show him having ticked up, but this poll, CNN poll yesterday in Iowa, didn't show much movement for him. Showed movement for Ben Carson. And I thought Carson's performance was fascinating and really gets to his appeal because he really wasn't there much in the night. He joked at one point, I thought I'd never get to speak again after he was passed over for about 45
That's what he said
minutes.
to Megyn. He said that to Megyn Kelly, and I got to tell you the God's honest truth, because fascinating is a good word. I thought he was glib. I thought he was funny. I thought the Siamese twins comment was very, very good. I thought of everybody, he closed the strongest, but I got to be honest, I don't know what all the gushing was about.
Well, that's the thing. One of these polls, now they all run together in my mind already, but one of them asked what were the most memorable moments, and that was one of them, the closing.
Right.
And it was so memorable because it's so different. Because a politician's closing statement, he never gets quieter in his voice. He doesn't get more mild, and that's what he did. So it really perked up your ears. He said something, that was totally different, that was very winsome, and people like him. And this has become a cliche in the political world, but it's true. But you look at the the three people who are either dominating the polls or rising in the polls, and it's three non-politicians. It's Trump, Carson, and Fiorina.
That is true. Carly was so much better, and I was on a JetBlue flight, actually. I had hosted a couple of shows alongside Bernie McGurk, filling in for Geraldo on WABC, which in New York those 2 days, and I made my debut on Sean Hannity's show that day, actually. And so I was on the plane on JetBlue coming home for that 5 o'clock debate, and I tweeted right away that it wasn't even close. I mean, you can argue all day about the later table, whether it was Rubio or Cruz, but this one was Rick Perry was terrible. Lindsey Graham looked like he was on Valium or Xanax or something. I mean, she just destroyed the rest of the field earlier that day. Yeah,
she was great, and she did actually benefit more from being at that earlier debate. She got more buzz from it. She was able to stand out more. And it wasn't surprising to any of us who have seen her out on the campaign trail at these cattle calls or various forums. She never fails to excel. So it didn't surprise me at all how good she was. She's just a very crisp, forceful communicator. And now it seems pretty clear that we'll see her in the top 10 in the next debate.
Yeah, and she's out there right now. The war on women. She seems to be the one that's kind of leading that charge. I know Hillary Clinton was very, very, very critical of Trump with the Kelly comments, but on the right side, at least, you've got Carly Fiorina, and a lot of folks that I talk to, who by the way, are both sides of the aisle, think that the more impressive woman in this election is Carly rather than Hillary.
Yep. Well, I would sign up for that proposition, no doubt about it. I have to say, with the Trump controversial comments, I don't know whether he does it deliberately, but he has a kind of genius for changing the subject. Because, the last big controversy was the John McCain comments. Then he comes out and he gives out Lindsey Graham's phone number, kind of a sophomoric thing, but hilarious in its way. And all of a sudden, no one's talking about John McCain anymore. People are talking about phones and phone numbers. And it's kind of the same thing with the debate. He in my mind, turned in a lackluster, at best, performance. And then right afterwards, he starts, complaining about Megyn Kelly. And then we're not talking about his performance in the debate. We're talking about his comments about Megyn Kelly. Yeah. So he's, Newt apparently made this comment, this observation the other day, that he's never seen anyone in American politics who's so good at staying on offense all the time.
Yeah, he's been
Donald Trump.
Yeah, he's been great. Let me read this from your column too, Donald the Whiner, which you wrote on August the 11th in the National Review. According to Trump, he'll bring Vladimir Putin to heel. He'll make Mexico pay for a border fence. He'll take the Middle East oil, assuming that is, no one says a discouraging word to him, then he'll lose it. So all those three things that he said there about Putin, about taking the oil, about building the fence, they all seem great. How realistic are they? And then, like you said, how long before he implodes anyway? I mean, because they're already talking, Rich, on Meet the Press about his exit strategy, despite the fact he's still leading in the polls.
Yeah, well, I don't think any of these things he's setting out are realistic in the least. I mean, we're not going to go, to just take the last one, to the Middle East and steal its oil. I mean, you need to invade all these countries, occupy them. You would make everyone there your enemy, and you're going to steal their oil for what? This country has a lot of fossil fuel, so that's not this country's problem. So it's kind of just blustery, this kind of stuff you'd expect to hear from the bar stool, at the LaGuardia Departures Lounge from someone who's had a businessman who's had a few too many margaritas. But look, Trump, I do believe he'll fade over time, at least somewhat. I don't know how much, and I don't know when. So, this could be just a summer phenomenon. It could be that we're talking about him, at the top of the polls still come the beginning of next year. But I do think it's correct, as many people pointed out, that polls in August really aren't highly predictive. Yeah. There's always someone who surges at the end, especially in Iowa the last 4 weeks. And I also just have a hard time. You look at the past winners of Iowa, Rick Santorum, Mike Huckabee, George W. Bush. These are serious Christians and serious social conservatives, and it's hard to see Trump lining up as a winner of Iowa in the long run.
And by the way, none of those guys won. And I was talking to Lonnie Davis about that this morning about Hillary Clinton, and she didn't fare all that well last time either in those states. And by the way, he admitted to me as her lead strategist, you know how close Lonnie is to Bill and Hillary, that they are nervous. They are absolutely nervous about Bernie Sanders, and equally as nervous if, in fact, Joe Biden hops into this race. So he sounded to me, Lonnie, this morning on my show, like a guy genuinely concerned about Hillary.
Yeah, it would not be shocking. Well, I mean, it would be shocking if it actually happens. But it's not surprising to think about at the moment that Bernie could win New Hampshire and even Iowa. Hasn't shown the same strength in Iowa, but he's the type of candidate he usually thrives in Iowa. And some people are poo-pooing this New Hampshire poll that had Bernie ahead as some sort of outlier, but it's clearly in line with the drift in New Hampshire, where Sanders has been steadily gaining on her, and he is able to attract a crowd and create genuine grassroots enthusiasm in a way she can't.
Right. Two more will let you run. As always, great stuff. Rich Lowry, read his National Review stuff. It's great. Got to ask you about Scott Walker. I was reading the politics in today's New York Times and Washington Post, and I was looking for something on Scott Walker. Here's what I found. You ready, Rich?
I'm ready for it.
Scott Walker has been able to get the funding needed to build the Milwaukee Bucks a brand new arena in Wisconsin. I mean, that's his story today, really?
Well, it's interesting. These Iowa polls, the guy he needs to be most worried about them is Scott Walker, because he absolutely needs to win Iowa. He has been a commanding position there all year, and then all of a sudden, he's in second or third place. And to me, it goes to, I was wrong about this. I thought he just had to turn in a solid, credible performance in the debate, and he'd be fine, because the concern about him is whether he's ready for the big stage. But in this kind of big field, in this volatile environment, adequate isn't enough. You really have to create an impression. And it turns out that both Walker and Bush were hurt by just adequate performances in that debate.
Correct. Adequate, maybe even nice. Then on the way, last one for you, a guy that has really intrigued me, and I've talked an awful lot about this guy the last couple of days, and he's in the press today talking about how Republicans need to be a little kinder, basically. Like, don't be afraid to be nice. And I'm talking about the Ohio product, John Kasich. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, I thought his performance was probably a little overestimated by the media. I think journalists would tend to like what he was saying a little more than average Republicans, but he's showing strength in New Hampshire a little more than I would have expected. He's in second place in the latest poll, or right on Jeb Bush's heels, maybe in third. But if he has some get up and go, this is an enormous problem for Jeb Bush, because Jeb is not a natural Iowa candidate. He really needs to do well in New Hampshire. And if he has Kasich in the picture in New Hampshire, it makes it a lot harder. And, the establishment frontrunner, quote-unquote frontrunner, usually wins by just dominating his space and grinding everyone else down. And if Kasich is strong, Bush isn't going to be able to dominate that space.
Couldn't agree more. So last one here. You tell me, next debate, who are you looking forward to going head-to-head? We saw Christie and Rand Paul kill each other. When given the opportunity, Donald Trump did not jump all over Jeb Bush. Really wasn't a lot of sniping there like you'd like to see outside of Rand Paul. He fought with everybody. Who are you looking to see? What dynamic? What folks are looking to go head-to-head in the next debate?
In the next 5 weeks, we'll see a lot of other storylines. But right now, if the debate were, next week, I would say Rand Paul, Donald Trump, because Paul has gone after him, and Trump has dropped a ton of bricks on his head in this statement. I don't know whether you saw this thing today about how he beat Rand Paul in golf.
Yeah.
Rand Paul's an embarrassment to Kentucky. It's really hilarious. And then Fiorina and Trump. And, so obviously the moderators are going to gin that up on the women's issue. And this is a delicate thing. It's one thing to call Rosie O'Donnell names over Twitter. It's another to call Carly Fiorina names, on a stage if Trump goes there. So those are at least two storylines. There'll be much more. And the one thing I don't want anyone to talk about, Sid, is how my Yankees have dropped into second place.
How about that, Rich? I mean, and not because, look, they've lost 2 in a row to Cleveland, but I'm not sure Rich Toronto will ever lose a game again, ever.
I know. They're unbelievably just sizzling hot, and it all started. I got a sick feeling in my stomach when I turned on the game. I think it was the second game against Boston in that series, and it was a knuckleballer. And I was like, all right, you never hit the knuckleballer, and you go cold right after you face the knuckleballer. And then we faced Dickey, 2 nights later.
Yep.
And now it seems we haven't gotten a hit since.
You really haven't. It's been brutal offensively. And by the way, I'm glad you brought that up, Rich, because coming up, being that you are a longtime Yankee fan, coming up in 18 minutes, one of the all-time greats, Roy White, is going to be here today. How about
Awesome.
that? Yeah, number
Awesome.
6.
I'm very jealous.
Well, next time we get him on, we'll watch you in the studio. But as always, Rich, you're a wonderful guest. Your stuff in the National Review is great. Keep coming back, buddy. You're terrific. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much, Ed.
Take care. The great Rich Lowry. He's a diehard Yankee fan. You heard it. And, yes, today, for the first time in quite some time, when you get up and look at the MLB standings, specifically the AL East, you're going to notice that the Yankees are in second and a half a game ahead of them, Toronto. Now, on the other hand, in the NL East, the Mets have shut out the Rockies 2 consecutive days. The Dodgers have shut out Washington 2 consecutive games. So while the Yankees have fallen into second place, the Mets are increasing their lead over Washington. Now a 3.5 game lead for the Mets. How about that, Z-Mac?
Taking over New York.
Have you shown your penis yet on Periscope?
No, not yet.
What are you waiting for? Are we still on?
Yeah, we're still on.
Hey, have some jelly beans. Celebrate our anniversary.
I'm not in the mood for any jelly beans. I'm not in the mood.
You're such. You really are.
No.
Everybody else had jelly beans. I had
Steve
jelly
had-
beans.
I had some.
No, just 3. I don't.
He has actually a bunch in front of him.
You have to have
I don't think he ate any.
You must celebrate the anniversary. Everybody
I
else
did.
Ricky B did it.
I
Z-Mac.
did.
No, I didn't see it.
I did.
Well, if I don't see it, it didn't happen.
Well, you're going to see something soon.
Well, just have a couple of jelly beans and
No.
stop bitching. Stop.
I've had enough.
No, you need to celebrate with the rest of us.
I did.
What are you worried about?
What am I worried
What,
about?
do you get fat? I don't understand. Have a couple of jelly beans. I had a bunch. He had a bunch.
I don't like jelly beans.
They're
Z-Mac didn't have
You
it.
don't like jelly beans? I mean, what are you, retarded?
No.
They're delicious. It's sugar.
I know.
You got great flavors there.
I don't drink sugar.
You
I
got
don't do
pina
sugar.
colada. You got licorice. Look at those great flavors I gave you.
I see it.
So take a couple.
I'll eat some.
Well, do it now.
Later.
No, now we're on
Before the
Periscope.
gym.
You must do it now
No,
on Periscope.
I don't want to.
Why?
I don't.
Why not?
I don't feel good about it.
What do you think? They're laced with arsenic or anthrax?
Something.
Why do you think that?
I don't trust it.
That's messed up, bro. Here we are.
That is so wrong, man.
We're celebrating. Look, even Andre is having one right now.
Oh, my
I hope
God.
that's not the fart one.
Oh. That can ruin her insides.
That is so wrong, man. You're messed up, man.
Oh, God.
I don't trust this guy.
Andre, it's no good? Come here. Come here. You got to tell
It's
us.
so wrong, man.
What?
That is wrong, man.
What does it taste like?
I was trying to be a team player, but now I regret it. That jelly bean's disgusting.
Of course it is. I tried it. They don't taste good, and I know he's up to something.
What does it taste like?
Like a fart.
Oh.
It was bad.
Well, it just so happens that there is a fart-flavored jelly bean in here.
That's disgusting. I wasn't on the joke, but I became the joke.
Oh, my God. You got to see her face. What does it taste like?
Yeah, well, I can imagine. I feel bad for the poor girl. What are you
Look,
doing?
I had the
Which one?
rotten egg.
Rotten
Okay,
egg.
awesome.
Yum. Yummo.
Well, happy anniversary, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, Andre.
I got to
You
tell you.
happy about it?
My daughter Ava bought these jelly beans in the mall a couple days ago, and we didn't know. So I'm in the.
Wait, I gotta say something because Eric did take a handful earlier,
Oh, God.
and during the break, it was so crazy and hectic.
Yeah.
I told him they were Viagra jelly beans, and he flipped
Yeah, like
out, and
20
he
of
still
them.
believes that.
Right, right.
So they're not really Viagra.
No, they're
jelly
not.
Beans.
So my daughter Ava
Oh,
buys
okay,
these.
well.
We're in Town Center Mall with friends of ours. I'm sorry. Look at Andrea's face. And I had no idea that they're regular jelly beans. She gives me one, and I also got the rotten egg one. Oh. And it tasted like and I swear to God, I started retching, like I was going to vomit. Now, a friend, Jen Moaz, Led's mother, she got the fart one, and she actually did spit all over the vomited all over the floor. So these things, they're called Bean Boozled jelly beans, and some are great, are the regular flavored jelly beans, but mixed in with these jelly beans are jelly beans that actually taste like farts. And what else is on there? Well, what did you get before you?
Barf flavored,
I think I got
Booger
like
flavored.
barf and booger. I got all of them.
baby
I took
wipe,
a handful.
baby wipe flavored.
Yeah. I know
stinky
better.
sock flavor.
How does he see Mac's face, too? Like Andrea's face.
Anytime he's that happy to give you anything, don't trust it.
Well,
at
he goes,
all.
take a color
Look
of
at
it.
him.
He takes
He's-
one of each, and I'm trying to
You can't tell because
differentiate the flavors. I'm like, what is
This is so
this?
funny
It's
to
a
him.
combination of what?
He's enjoying this so much.
It's the same color as a regular jelly bean. You'd never know.
Well, of course you'd never know.
Oh, God. Andre, I'm sorry. Look how. Are you going to vomit?
That's messed up, man. We do that to the intern, Ricky
I
B,
know.
not to.
888-640-9385.
Not
All-time
Andrea.
Yankee great Roy White's going to stop by. Hopefully, Hall of Famer Lawrence Taylor as well. But the phones are open. We have about 43 minutes to go, celebrating our 3-year anniversary today. I saw GT Mike was just on the line. So we'll take a quick break. We are going to say goodbye, everybody, on Periscope. We want to thank Andrea once again for doing a great job. And we'll be back again next week. Isn't that right? Okay, so thank you, folks. A lot of guys all over the country and ladies watching us today from Brazil to Australia.
I got a message from a fan in Palestine while I was just taking that. It said, "Hi Sid, I could be the only fan of yours in Palestine."
I would think so.
I think Z-Mac isn't allowing him to listen.
Of course not. So thank you. Thank you to the folks on Periscope. We'll do it again next week. And we'll come back on the phones with you guys, Roy White, and hopefully LT as well. We're back on our 3rd anniversary right after this.
Sid Rosenberg.
Would you like to
The
lose
very
weight? Lovely Debbie Gibson. They see a picture on Twitter, and then I get the information for the interview, and I show it to these guys. The first thing they say is, "Oh my God, she looks great."
Well, the creepier thing would be is if he was saying, like, no, she looked hotter as a kid.
Right.
That would be creepy. That would be creepy. You know, I was born in Brooklyn.
I know everything about you, Deb. Don't you worry, kid.
Creepy again.
Sid Rosenberg. Mornings only on 640 Sports.
The greatest defensive player in the history of the Miami Dolphins. I really consider him a New York Jet, but he did spend some time here in Miami. He is the great number 99, always been good to me, Jason Taylor. JT, what's going on, pal?
Hey, good morning, Sidney. Welcome back.
Nice to be back and nice to have you on this first day. And I will say this, you're a man of your word, because months ago when I was down in the dumps and real nervous and apprehensive about getting back in the business, and I tweeted you, and I said, would you do this for me? Come on day one, knowing full well you're good friends with one of my competitors, who's a friend as well. And you said, yeah, I'll be there for you. And here you are, so thank you.
My pleasure, man. I got to help you out.
Thank you. I did describe you as a New York Jet who spent some time in Miami. Is that accurate?
No, I am a Miami Dolphin at heart first. And you know what? And I know some people hate hearing this, especially Dolphin fans, but I had a great year in New York. I had a great one season. My wife and kids enjoyed the time there, and we had some success on the field. But I know it's hard for Dolphin fans to hear that and be okay with it. But look, it is what it is, and I'm a Dolphin at heart and retire the Dolphin. This is home. If we do anything, if we go anywhere else or have a place somewhere else and kind of become the Snowbirds, we'll always be here. This is always home. There's no state income tax. It doesn't snow. It's a lot of reasons to be here.
Here he is, the great number 54, Zach Thomas. Zach, what's going on, kid?
Yo, Sid, man, welcome back. Happy for you, man. Sometimes your down times are the best times because it gets you closer to your family, and you find out your true friends. And you see today, you have a lot of guys that really love you, Sid. It's like with anything in life. You find your true friends. A lot of them you were probably shocked that weren't there for you, but that's just the way it is in life, and a lot of football players find that out when out of football or when they go through tough times. People you expect to be there for you definitely bounce out of your life. So I'm happy for you, man.
Heart beats fast, colors and promises. How to be brave? How can I love when I'm afraid to fall? But watching you stand alone, all of my doubt suddenly goes away.
3 years ago today, gentlemen, August 13th, 2012, we started this journey. First of all, great show today so far. Tamara Holder, Lanny Davis, Mike Ditka, Rich Lowry, Roy White still to come, maybe LT too. 3 years ago today, I know you weren't here. You joined the show about 5 or 6 weeks later. We had Danny Garcia. Steve, you were here. We started this. It's been quite a journey. Reminded today about some of the things we've gone through, and the bankruptcy. We've been sold about 3 or 4 times. We were down in the dumps. We went to a Super Bowl in New York. We hadn't been paid for a month. Things were miserable back here. Our families were upset with us, and we've been through an awful lot, boys, the 3 years we're together. And I put this on Facebook and Twitter today, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, that I'm so proud of both of you guys, and specifically proud of the product and what we've done with this program, how we reinvented this show, which was basically, I'm better than most, that's fine, but it was basically a run-of-the-mill sports show when we started 3 years ago today, and now we've turned this thing into a juggernaut. We get the best political guests in the country on this show. We get the newsmakers, and along with the great sports guests, and we cover everything. You never know from one segment to the next what we're going to cover, because I don't even know. And we've really made this show into a big hit. There's a lot of folks, a lot of very, very big-time important folks. I know this because I was in New York last week that listen to us every single day on TuneIn Radio or on the free 640 Sports application. Tune in to us. And it's not like there's not a bevy. This is not Miami. Miami sucks. Shows down here are embarrassing, every one of them. If Dan Le Batard's the best you got, you ain't all that good. But in New York, they got the real deals. And folks listen to us. And that's just hard work and dedication. There's been a lot of times over the past 3 years where all of us wanted to quit, and very nearly did. And I asked a lot of you guys, too, to stick around, and, especially you, Steve, to come to New York for that Super Bowl between the Broncos and the Seahawks. And, I wanted you to come too, Lingel, but I hate to say this on air.
Then don't say it.
You had a gun in your mouth that night.
See? You don't have to tell everybody.
Well, I want people to know some of the things we went through here. We didn't know for a while there, from one day to the next, if the doors are going to be locked and we were going to be done. And people said, "Don't go to work, stop." And we said, "No, we're building something here." And I don't know what the hell we built, to be honest, because truth is, we're PBB, and this isn't exactly Clear Channel or Cumulus or one of those other big things that have us on 100 markets across the country. But I know this. As a guy that studies radio, that continues to do radio in the biggest media market in the world, that is respected by some of the all-time greats, I know for a fact that this is an unbelievable product, and it doesn't come easy. I'm checking my messages at 2 o'clock in the morning. I get up now every day at 3. I was shaving and showering at 3:05 today. When I get here, before 5 o'clock in the morning, you guys are already here. So when you hear Zach Thomas there, that was day one. Jason Taylor, that was day one. That was 3 years ago today. That show, we had Pat Riley and a bunch of the big Miami sports figures. Miami, not New York, Miami, that stopped by to tell us how happy they were we were getting another opportunity. And we're still here 3 years later.
Better than ever.
Better than ever. Let me grab a couple of calls. And I want to play something because, as I talked about earlier, it took us all of 28 minutes in our 640 career. 28 minutes to be a national story. The Sid Rosenberg Show on 640 Sports was a national story 28 minutes in, day one. And we'll play the audio from that. We've got all that. Here's Gordo. Good morning, Gordon.
Was that Carlos Dansby thing?
Yes.
Sid, you're the best. You coming back to the radio saved me in terms of my drive in the mornings to work, and just saved for me radio. I mean, without you on the air, I don't know. There is nothing else on. I mean, what are we forced to listen to? 10 hours of Koamisi talk? I mean, come on. Seriously.
Oh, Jesus.
Koamisi? I mean, my voice is. I'm recovering from a cold, but 10 hours of Koamisi and Evan Mathis talk? I mean, come on. I mean, that's what the alternative is to Sid Rosenberg. So you want to be bored to death and shoot yourself in the head listening to sports radio in this town, or listen to Sid Rosenberg. I mean, seriously. I mean, Sid, I love you.
Thank you.
How about that Heat schedule? Just kidding.
We love you too, Gordon.
Had to get that
Thank
in, Gordo.
Koamisi talk. How do you beat that? Here's GT Mike. Good morning, Michael. How are you, pal?
All right. Hey, Sid, you guys are cracking me up with those jelly beans because I got suckered into them 2 weeks ago by my 10-year-old son, and I tasted a couple of them and I actually did throw up. But the funny part that I would like to know, and maybe you guys can add into it, the the person that designed those and came up with all those flavors, just think about what a septic mind they must have that they could come up with some stuff. And how did they actually know what all those things tasted like, man? Because somehow someone had to come up with some chemist somewhere doing something, and it is disgusting, but at the same time it's kind of funny. And when you guys said that, man, I almost cracked up laughing so hard. So give them to somebody else, pass them on, and have a good bath.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I don't know how they did that. The actual chemistry that goes into making a jelly bean that tastes like a fart or a rotten egg.
I can pinpoint that I 100% had skunk spray. I know for a fact I had one of those.
Skunk spray? How do you know?
Oh, because it was dark. And there's two options here: canned dog food or skunk spray.
Now you've told me.
I'm pretty sure it was skunk spray.
That you've got terrible heartburn now for the last hour and a half.
I actually have.
And you think it's from the jelly bean?
Yeah, it's not from the croissant I had earlier, the banana and the croissant I had earlier today. It's got to be from these things.
Oh, that's
As soon as I ate them, like literally 15 minutes later, I'm like, man, I got heartburn. What the?
Oh, they are nasty.
Oh, so who really knows what's even in this?
Oh, who the hell knows? So before we get to Roy White, let's go back. Here it is. It's 28 minutes in to our stay here at 640 Sports, and today we celebrate 3 years. The Dolphins offered us linebacker Carlos Dansby. This is just a couple of days after the Dolphins had cut wide receiver Chad Johnson for a domestic violence dispute. And, well, Carlos wasn't very happy about it, and he made us the national headline 28 minutes in to our 640 career. Let's go back to day one. Talking to number 58, starting linebacker Carlos Dansby, one of the best defensive players in the National Football League, 4-year Miami Dolphins. So, listen, I'm all about second chances. I've had 10. You know that, KD. So I'm all about that. But you do realize, and this is why I like it, because you got balls. You got a big set of brass balls. You are on record right now at 6:25 a.m. on this Monday morning, 2 days after Chad Johnson was arrested. You are now on record on this program, the debut of the Sid Rosenberg Show on 640, saying that you are not in line necessarily with the organization, that you would have liked to see them keep Chad Johnson because it's not his nature, and you think the football team is worse off without him.
Hey, look here, man. It is what it is. That's just the way I am. That's the way I feel. That's the way that's the way I was cut. That's the way I was raised, bro. You give the guy a second chance, especially if you know his character, you know who he is.
All right, that's Carlos Dansby. So the next thing you know, what do you mean? Dansby is ripping the Dolphins and standing up for a guy that's involved in such an ugly domestic abuse type of thing here. Next thing you know, it's all over the place. Around the Horn, it's on PTI. Michael Wilbon mentioned us. Yep. Michael Irvin mentioned us on the NFL Network. But there was a local guy who was local down here. Now he's a star on the NFL Network that brought up this story as well. Now the report that I saw, all he said was a local radio station. Never mentioned me or 640 Sports, and I contend to this day the reason why is because he's so far up Joe Rose's ass he can check for polyps. So after all that breaks down with Carlos Dansby, Jeff Darlington came on the show, and this is what transpired. We love him, Jeff Darlington. Jeffrey, what's going on, pal?
That's the second time I've been on your show, and the producers had a problem with me.
What the hell are you doing? Oh my God, I don't get it.
I've never had a problem with any other producer.
I know. Or me for that. I mean, I think you're a lovely kid, and you come on my show, and you start yelling at my guys, and...
Yelling, don't sensationalize it. I know you like to sensationalize.
But, so you listen to my show then? You never do you?
I don't really listen to any of them. What's going on?
Well, I want to talk Dolphins with you, but I want to mention something else. Is that okay?
What's up?
Let me bring you back to Monday. What was the biggest sports story in the country on Monday?
Chad Johnson situation.
Right. And just 28 minutes into my 640 career, I had a lot to do with that story, yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sid, I know what you're doing. You're worried about not getting credit for something, okay? If you go on NFL.com and read my story, I give you credit in the story. I taped a couple of hits on NFL Network. One of them apparently said local radio, and one of them specified which station. That's all I can tell you. I don't know if you wanted to just call me off the air since you think that we're buddies. We could have just talked about it off the air, but it's no big deal.
You think I'm actually petty enough to call you about something like that?
Yeah. What do you want to talk about? Let's talk Dolphins. I don't have time to deal with this kind of stuff.
Okay, then bye. Yeah. So you don't have time to deal with it, then goodbye. Hang up the phone on you because you're a dick. Henry Pisano checking in, our dear friend from the Hard Rock Hotel, says hard work and dedication pays off, and congratulations to all of you guys. So we'll take a short break. That was a little look back at day one with Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas, Carlos Dansby, and Jeff Darlington, again celebrating our 3-year anniversary. at this wretched station today. And we'll come back with all-time Yankee great Roy White, who is hosting the Yankee pregame show tonight before the Yanks take on the Indians on Channel 11 WPIX up in New York. And why is Roy White hosting the pregame show tonight? Because I couldn't. More on that with Roy right after this.
Your new South Florida home for Florida Panthers hockey. 640 Sports.
Now, it's Sid Rosenberg on 640 Sports.
Here he is right now, my friend Bucky Dent. What's going on, kiddo?
How you doing, buddy? I haven't talked to you in a while.
You know, you talk about knowing where you were, and the first time I saw grown men cry was when Thurman Munson died. I remember that moment like yesterday.
I remember where I was at. I mean, we just come off the road from Chicago playing the White Sox. I was in the Twin Towers having dinner. Came down about 6:30. We had an off day and went to get my car, and the guy, says, "Hey, aren't you Bucky?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Boy, it's a shame what happened to Thurman." And I go, "What are you talking about?"
Wow.
He goes, "He got killed in a plane crash." And you're talking about somebody like shooting you in the forehead with a bazooka. I mean, my knees buckled. I sat down in a car. I was dazed. I couldn't believe what the guy had just said to me.
Wow.
I said to him, "Was there anybody in the plane?" He goes, "Yeah, there was two people." See, the last time I saw Thurman, he was walking through the parking lot, and he was with Bobby Mercer and Kay, his wife. And I thought that they were in the plane, but they weren't. But I'm telling you, that was the worst feeling I ever had in sports.
If these walls came crumbling down, it felt so hard to make us lose our faith. From what's left, you'd figure it out and still make lemonade taste like a summer day. Stay, beautiful baby. I hope you stay, American baby. American baby.
Bucky Dent talking about Thurman. Well, my next guest was also a very close friend of Thurman Munson as well. He spent 15 years, distinguished himself between 1965 and 1979 as one of the greatest Yankees of all time, still beloved and revered in New York today. And that is my good buddy, the great Roy White. Good morning, Roy. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Feeling great, man.
You feeling great? Are you doing now? I know that you're doing the pregame show tonight on Channel 11 WPIX, aren't you?
That's right. I'm going to do that. I played golf with Scott last week.
Yeah, Scott Stanford. Scott Stanford's a good guy. I was actually, I was in New York last week doing a couple of radio shows, and I was on with Stanford doing the sports one night, doing the Mets and Yanks last Tuesday, and he told me that you were going to do tonight, and of course, people in New York love you, so that's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks.
Cool. What do you do anyway? Just now you're not at the stadium because they're in Cleveland against the Indians. So are you in the studio, the PIX studios? Like, what do you do for them?
Yeah, it'll be in the studios downtown New York.
Gotcha. In Midtown. So that'll be fun. Okay, cool. Well, what's going on with your Yankees, Roy? I mean, they faced a couple of knuckleballers last week, and now I wake up this morning and they're in second place.
Yeah, that was quite a quick turnaround. But like a week ago when they had 6.5, 7-game lead, everybody was acting like the season was over. I told a lot of my friends, hey, 5 or 6 game lead can disappear in 1 week. You lose 4 or 5 in a row, and the other team's winning. The next thing you know, it's a race again. So you can't rest on your laurels when you get there. You still got to win some games. So it's just one of those things that teams go through, and they'll start hitting again. And hopefully tonight. Right.
Let's get it going. Now, the problem is, Roy, is that Toronto picked up maybe the best hitting shortstop in baseball in Troy Tulowitzki. They picked up a big-time ace in David Price, and they've won 10 straight games. It's not a coincidence. And the Yankees did nothing. Now, I understand the Yankees love all these kids. I love them, too. And I'm not sure if I'm Brian Cashman, I'm willing to mortgage 2017 through 2025 for this year either. But if the Yankees don't make it back in this thing, it's going to come back to that day, trade day, when Toronto made big moves and the Yanks did nothing.
Yeah, you know what? On the starting pitching side, that was the one area that you can have some concerns about because of Tanaka and his arm. And he hasn't been quite as dominant as he was, last year before he got hurt. And then the injury to Pineda, and he's been kind of hot and cold. Nova just coming back has pitched well in a couple of games. Evaldi's been pretty good. He's been the guy that they've scored all the runs for most of the time. So even though his ERA is well over 4, he has a nice win and loss record. So you had to have some concerns about the starting rotation. And I think with them having Severino, that they didn't feel like they really had to go out and get one of these high-priced guys, on a rental basis probably, and lose a couple of your top prospects. And it's been a long time since they've had any real good prospects coming up through the system, especially position players. So, now having Bird and Judge, those are 2 guys that they really don't want to lose.
They're good. And like I said, I don't blame them. I'm okay with that. Like, it's been a long time since the 4 great ones, Jeter, Rivera, Pettit, and Bernie came up. But here's the difference, and you'll agree with this, Roy. The way the Yankees are run now with Hal in charge, and when you were there after 1973, when George showed up, if Steinbrenner, the boss, was still alive and running the Yankees, and Toronto was getting all these guys, God rest his soul, your former boss would be like, F this, get me some big-time players now, right?
Exactly. And there's no doubt about it. They probably would have made a deal with George, back in his ownership role.
He was never afraid to do that. I mean, be honest with me, Roy, because in the mid '60s, you were one of the star. You were the star of the team, basically. You were their all-star. You were a very good player, great player, and Mercer came along. But give me what it felt like, what you saw when Reggie Jackson arrived in that Yankee locker room.
It was quite different. We'd all heard about Reggie, his reputation and everything. So everybody was just kind of laid back, looking to see what was going to happen, when Reggie got there. And right away we had that whole story with the Sports Illustrated and the straw, the stir to drink and all that stuff. Yeah. But I think that was kind of overblown. Him and Thurman got along after a while. There wasn't any real animosity where there was a battle every day or they didn't speak to each other.
Right.
There was a number of occasions where we all had dinner, in those days. Be Reggie at the table, Thurman, Guidry, Mickey Rivers, Lou Piniella.
Oof.
And, we'd all be in there,
How about Billy?
And Reggie was,
but Billy wasn't there.
No, Billy wouldn't be part of that dinner. No. But we had Reggie there at the table, and he was part of the mix. He was welcome. So it wasn't like in the Bronx Zoo. It was kind of depicted that nobody ever talked to him. That Fran Healy was the only guy that ever had a conversation with him, and that wasn't really true.
Oh, what do you mean they exaggerated in New York? Come on, Roy. But see, this Yankee team. Listen, say what you want about you guys, the Bronx Zoo, the straw that stirred the drink. It was so full of personality with you guys and Reggie and Nettles and Thurman and that whole crew.
No doubt about it.
And then even the team in the 90s and 2000s when you had Jeter and Pettit and David Cone and David Wells. This team has spent a lot of the last couple of months in first place. A-Rod has had a renaissance. We know that, although he's been ice cold lately. And I asked Mark Feinsand, who covers the Yanks for the Daily News last week, I said, but who on this team do New Yorkers love? Who are they excited to watch play or watch do something outside the game? He said, really nobody, right? I mean, that's not this team.
No, that's true. I think the closest guy right now is Brett Gardner.
Yeah.
Seems to be the people's choice. But they don't have that charisma. They're not as charismatic as some of the former Yankee teams. They're kind of a day in, day out businessman type of corporate team now.
Right.
So it's not.
Yeah,
there's not a whole lot of personality there.
And you're right about Brett Gardner, and it's easy to like Brett because he's homegrown, right? He's a homegrown Yank.
He is.
And he's a nice player, and we thought the Yankees were going to deal him for a pitcher when they got these other outfielders, and he stuck around, and he had a great first half. Again, it's easy to like Brett Gardner, but when I mention Roy, some of the old-time greats you and I just talked about, and you give me Brett Gardner, it's a different day, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a little different. You're right. So, it's things have really changed now. I mean, you have Ellsbury, but he's not that kind of a dominant-like player where, he doesn't have that type of personality.
And let's face it, Yankee fans still think of him as a Red Sox anyway. He's not even Johnny Damon yet, Ellsbury.
Plus, he's been hurt so much, we really haven't been able to see him hardly. You know, he's just the injuries have really. I mean, this season he doesn't even have a half a season in.
Right.
So we haven't seen much of him. But Teixeira's a quiet guy. He's doesn't have that type of charisma. So you're right. It's a pretty bland team on the personality side.
Right, it's boring. It is. I mean, they could be good, but who cares? Hey, what was the situation, Roy? I think you got to the Yanks in about 64, 65. Was Mickey Mantle still there, or was he gone?
Oh, no, he was there.
He was there. Okay.
Yeah, I played with Mickey for 3 seasons. So I came up September 65, and then 66, 67, 68. Mickey was there those 3 seasons.
Yeah, Mickey was still there. Yeah.
In fact, I batted cleanup behind Mickey, starting in 68, the shock of my life. When Ralph Howe called me in the office, in early June, and he says, Roy, I'm going to make a change in the lineup. So I was just hoping I was still going to be in the lineup. He goes, I'm going to switch you to cleanup. He almost had a heart attack. And he says, Mickey's our number 4, but we just don't have anybody behind him, that they're just walking him all the time. And he says, at least I know you can hit a double or a single.
Right.
You're somewhat of a threat.
See, that's a great story. That's a great story, man. I mean, you actually hit cleanup on the same team with Mickey Mantle. And the reason why I bring Mickey up is because a couple of days ago, Roy, Frank Gifford died, the former great New York Giant. Right. And everybody keeps saying that Frank Gifford was to the New York sports scene to football what Mickey was for baseball. And oftentimes you'd walk into Toots Shore, for example, in Manhattan, and you'd see Frank Sinatra, Frank Gifford, and Mickey Mantle. Like you would see that type of stuff, right?
No, that's true. Yes, I had that opportunity to have a few lunches there, and that's the type of place it was. That was really amazing, the people who would come in there. It's too bad that they don't have any place like that now that you could really say that. But that's the way New York sports was back in the the 50s, the 60s, and I had a little taste of it, coming up in the late 60s. So, as I said, that cleanup that lasted for about 6 years. I was a cleanup guy in the batting order, so that shows how tough our teams had it.
Stop. You were a really good player. Stop. But, yeah, I mean, you got some boppers after that when Reggie and Nettles, all those guys came along. I'm going to be 49 years old, God willing, in April, and I've been alive since, like, Joe Namath and Patrick Ewing and Mark Messier and Eli Manning and Derek Jeter, some really Julius Erving, some great New York athletes. But everybody keeps telling me the same thing, Roy, and that is you just missed it. I was born in 67. What did I just miss? And they always say Mickey. I mean, everybody, my brother-in-law who's in his 60s, even Mike Francesa in his 60s, that whole generation in love with Mickey Mantle. Were you wide-eyed when you got to the Yankees and you meet Mickey? Was that like a huge deal for you?
Well, no doubt about it. I grew up in California. I wasn't a big Yankee fan, really. But, you still knew about the New York Yankees because they were on the game of the week like every Saturday. Was the New York Yankees back in the 60s when they did the game of the week. So you knew that whole lineup, and you knew Mickey Mantle was like the icon of baseball there. And, we imitated him in our neighborhood, when we were the Yankees, and we tried to be switch hitters. So it was amazing for me to come into that clubhouse in September 65 and Mickey's still there.
Wow.
He's still there on the team. And I just couldn't believe that I was on the Yankees and the Mick was there.
Was he cool?
An aura about him, that.
Yeah. Was he cool to you? Because there were very, everybody always said Maris was such a good guy. Mickey could be a dick every now and then. How was he to you?
Mickey was great to me.
Yeah.
To all the young kids or the rookies that came up, Mickey treated us well. And I guess that was because he never was treated well by DiMaggio, that he went out of his way to be nice.
Yeah, Joe D.
I never had any bad moments with Mickey. And, I wasn't hanging out with him at night, so, I didn't know what he was doing off the field. I had no idea about that. All I knew was that this guy, even with his bad legs and everything, played hard.
Yeah.
Every time he went out there, I would see this guy busting it down the first base on a routine grounder to second. Yeah. And you were like holding your breath, like, don't run hard. You didn't want him to blow out, a hamstring or a knee. Yeah. So, but that's the way he played the game. So it was really a great thrill for me, being a teammate of Mickey Mantle's. And and being able to say that I batted cleanup behind it.
Wow, that is amazing. No, that's a testament to you. That's unbelievable, Roy. And by the way, you say you don't know what he did when you weren't with him. Let me say this to you. Gorgeous guy, making a lot of money at the time, the most popular New York Yankee ever. You know exactly what he was doing, Roy, when he wasn't with you.
I did not experience any of that firsthand, though. So.
Well, that sucks. But seriously, seriously, on the way out, give me this. And again, Roy will be on locally. I have a lot of listeners up in New York listening to me right now. Channel 11 WPIX tonight before the Yanks try to get one in Cleveland, get back into first place over Toronto. Give me the one moment for you, that you still harken back as the greatest Roy White Yankee moment ever for you.
Oh, boy. Yeah, there's so many. I mean, just, the first base hit, the first time coming up to bat in Yankee Stadium and getting a base hit off of Dave McNally.
Wow, Dave McNally.
In the first game of the doubleheader. Yeah. And then starting the second game against Wally Bunker, I got a couple of hits. And then having Mickey Mantle tell me on the bench, "Hey, kid, nothing to this game, is it?"
That's great. Oh, that's great.
But, if there's one moment, it was kind of a standout moment, and a lot of people tell me about it, that they were there or they saw that game. It was a big game against the Red Sox, I believe, in '77, and we were 5 out, with them coming in, and they had us 5-3 going into the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. Wooly gets a triple over Yaz's head in left field, and Bill Campbell was their closer then. And I came up and hit the first pitch for a game-tying 2-run homer.
Wow.
Yeah, and the stadium just went nuts. It was electric. Going around the bases on that home run, and we won that game in extra innings, 6-5, and we swept them that series. So instead of being, if we'd have lost that game, we'd have been 6 out, and it could have been over. They left out with only a 1-game lead. That was kind of a turning point in that season. So that was a big home run.
That's huge,
I remember that.
Yeah, huge. And then you won the World Series. You beat the Dodgers. That was the Reggie Jackson 3-home run game. That had to feel really good because you were on the team the year before, Roy, when you got swept in the World Series by the Cincinnati Reds. So to come back the very next year, you got Reggie and beat the Dodgers. That had to feel great, right?
Right, from being an L.A. guy, being from Los Angeles, getting a chance to play against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And, my parents and everybody getting a chance to see me play in the series. That was really a big moment. And then we came back and beat them again in '78.
Right.
So we had those 2 years playing the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And, playing in Dodger Stadium, my own home stomping grounds back out in California. So that was big thrills for me, no doubt about it.
Oh, that's great. And you were smart because you got out in '79 before they beat you guys in '81.
Yeah, I was in Japan then when that happened.
That's right. You were in Japan. That's right. Hey, I love when you come on. It's great to catch up with you. We'll be watching you on Channel 11 later on tonight. Just so you know, you're my favorite ex-Yank. My wife, Danielle, who is a diehard. She's a gorgeous girl, but she's a diehard Yankee fan. She loves you. So a lot of that generation still loves and will always love Roy White. So thank you for hopping on again.
I appreciate it.
All right, man. You be well, okay?
I appreciate it all the time, man.
You too. Thank you. There he is. The great old-time Yankee, the great number 6, Roy White. I love that guy. He was a great player, too. A great player. We'll take a short break. We'll come back and wrap things up on our 3rd anniversary right after this.
It's Sid Rosenberg. Online, on your mobile device, on your radio, right now. 640 Sports.
I remember it was a Kevin Bacon movie, and his significant other, they worked together on the news. I think the title of the movie was He Said, She Said, I think. And they were just bitching and fighting the whole damn time. And one night they got in a fight and they went to a club or something, and this was the song that was playing. Let me hear a little more of this. This is The Cult, Fire Woman. Hey now. Well, I really enjoyed that with Roy White. Dave Starr checking in. Said when Mickey Mantle said to Roy White if they could collected 3 base hits in his first effort in a doubleheader against Dave McNally. Dave McNally, part of the Baltimore Orioles staff, the first ever to have 4 20-game winners on the same staff, which included Mike Cuellar, Pat Dobson, and Jim Palmer. And Mickey Mantle says to Roy White, what do you say exactly? It's easy or something? Or what do you say?
Isn't it this easy, kid? Or
Yeah,
something
like that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
looking over on I can't imagine that. Looking over in the dugout.
Mickey Mantle, I mean, come on, man. What's that got to be like? Like for you, it'd be like Johnny Lamb Jones.
Not exactly,
I guess Namath for you, I guess.
Yeah.
Joe was a Hall of Famer, had some great years, but not nearly as good at what he did and he was great as what Mickey Mantle was to baseball. Anyway, it's been a really fun show. I do want to bring on our new intern. Our old intern was great, Emily Simbal, and she's on her way to Alabama as we speak. Her last day here was Tuesday, but she's going to school today to start her junior year at Alabama. And we all love Roll Tide, right? Is that what we say now, Lengel? Roll Tide or something?
Sure, yeah. Roll Tide, roll, man.
No, be quiet. Roll Tide, roll.
Yeah, that's the Alabama. That's it, man.
Won't be the only thing that you'll roll today. See what I did there?
Oh, how dare you.
So Ricky Balufe, who has been become a friend of our family, we go to Hurricane Grill on Tuesday nights and other nights. And, of course, we love Judith Brooker, the balloon lady. But Ricky, we got to know Ricky there. He's a waiter. And his girlfriend, Kim, who's adorable, too. And we love you guys. And you're an aspiring radio guy. Why you want to do this, I don't know. I mean, there's no money in this.
I want to be just as famous as you are. That's why.
It's never going to happen, bro. You have to do things that are probably not in your DNA to get there. And you got to work in New York. You're not going to. We're working in Palm Beach. You're not going to be famous.
Well, there's some favors I could probably do, right?
Maybe. But I know, seriously,
I'm just asking.
You want to do this, and so you're hopping in. You're starting CSB. When does that start?
November.
And you're here interning with us.
Yes.
And this is basically, for you, a dream come true.
Absolutely.
Wow.
To be next to Z-Mac.
Is that what it comes down to? Yeah.
Dream come true.
That's the dream right
My
there.
favorite
Well,
thing.
there you are. You're right next to him.
I've made it.
And you've been enthusiastic. You've been here for 3 days. You're here early. You stay late. You put the podcast up. You've been tweeting. Actually, here's where you are the best I've ever seen, is how active you are on social media. That's great. I love that.
It's key. I just posted something about. Did you see the sketch that they did for the Tom
Brady
thing?
Her name was Rosenberg, just so you know. Not related.
Really?
Yeah.
So they did this thing with the Brady Bunch where they took that same picture and they put it in all the Brady Bunch faces.
Is that right?
It's got like 17 retweets already.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So there you go. See that, Lengel? We've got a guy who's serious about social media.
This is big.
Which you are now.
Help
You're on Facebook and Twitter and all that
I'm
stuff.
so big on social media.
He's the only guy, though, in the room today, guy and or gal. You know, Andrea Ocampo is still nauseous. She just tweeted. Seriously.
I saw that, yeah.
She's still nauseous. She ate the fart jelly bean. Z-Mac, you had the skunk spray?
Yeah, skunk spray and some other combination of probably baby wipes and something else. Because I ate about 3 or 4.
And you have heartburn, right?
Yeah, I do.
And you have a look on your face like you're about to, seriously, like still.
Like I got a stomach ache and I have heartburn. Yeah,
Oh
like
my
it's
God.
not sitting well.
Ricky, you didn't have any of these, did you?
I took a green one.
And it was just okay.
It was fine. It was
See, that's the
fine.
thing. For every one that's nasty, one's okay.
Yeah.
So you got lucky.
I did.
This is
Well, I didn't trust
This
you.
is Russian roulette. Of course you shouldn't trust me. This is Russian roulette.
Yes, absolutely.
And Z-Mac and Andrea took the bullets. And you tried it. At least you played the game.
I did.
This wuss Eric Langell, Mr. 275 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, he wouldn't even play.
No, well, first of all, I did eat some. Z-Mac.
Nobody saw this.
No one saw it. No, but this happened. Andrea came up and offered me jelly beans, and I took them.
Right.
And
Z-Mac told you they were Viagra jelly beans.
Yeah, he told me they had Viagra in them.
And you are.
I wasn't so happy
his
about
face
that.
was.
Thank you, Chelsea from WIRK, our country music station with a happy anniversary sign. All right, Chelsea.
Look at you.
Yeah. All right. So you tried them. You tried 8 or 10 of them, and what happened?
Well, they didn't taste so bad to me.
So you got all good ones.
You must have gotten some
I got
good
a handful,
ones.
so I don't know.
There was not even one rotten taste in there. Not even one like ass or.
Maybe it's just me, but I kind of liked them. I don't know.
So eat a couple more. Come on.
No,
for the show, man.
The 6 in front of you. Just do
it's
it.
our anniversary, man. They're anniversary jelly beans.
They were in, I think, Z-Mac's sweaty palm.
So what?
Or yours,
bro.
And
Ava,
now they've been sitting on this table where Parker's pubic hair is.
Ava did it. Gabe did it. I've done it.
No. You
won't do it.
No.
What if I
had some already.
What if I threaten you with some type of suspension and maybe even a termination, which I can make happen? You know that.
I need some time off. I'm tired.
Ricky, what do you think about you're a diehard Jet fan. What do you think about the whole Geno Smith thing?
I think it's the same old thing that the Jets have been going through for forever.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have anything going for them at this point in time.
Are you happier with Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback than Geno Smith?
I think I'm happier with anybody but Geno Smith.
So this is not a bad thing for you?
Well, no. I was kind of mad that they let go of the linebacker in the first place, the first person to grow a noodle and actually punch him in the face.
So for you, it's a double whammy because you got rid of a lousy linebacker and you got rid of a lousy quarterback.
Yeah.
So this was a great day in Jet history.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. And we're very excited to have you here. And you are going to be great. You have great instinct for a guy who's never done this. And I mean this. You have great instinct. So take it like Mickey Mantle to Roy White. It's see how easy it is, kid?
Well, I learned from listening to this show.
Thank you. And I do want to thank not just Ricky B, but everybody today who called in and wished us well, and even some of our teammates here, which include the morning team at 107.9 FM, as well as the midday team at 8:50 a.m., Jennifer Ross and Bill Adams, who were great. Weren't they great?
Love them. Yeah, I love them.
They brought in a bunch of assorted gifts, Frisbees and mugs and cups.
Plated balloons.
Thank you. SpongeBob balloons and a bottle of champagne, all kinds of cool stuff. And Chelsea from WIRK for her very creative sign, which was basically a piece of computer paper that said Happy Anniversary, which she still took the time. So
there you go.
Yeah. And all the listeners that called in today, we want to thank you. And all of you that have been with us, whether it's been 1 day or 3 days, 3 months, or 3 years, it has not been easy. It has not been easy. This thing has been almost ripped apart a couple of times. But we stood firm as a team, and we knew that we had something really, really good, and it's now better than ever. And we have we've made it through. We've made through bankruptcies and sales. The station's been sold, I think, 3 times now. And we just continue to show up every single day and work hard, and well, because we need the money, quite frankly. But we're proud of what we do here, and we contend with conviction, as brash and arrogant as it sounds, that there's certainly not a show in South Florida, but maybe not across the country, that's as good as ours. It's not. One of these days, we're going to be compensated for that. Or not. Isn't that right?
No, don't say or not.
Or not.
That's what I'm waiting for. The big
waiting.
Payoff is coming.
How old are you now?
I'll be
you're my age.
48 in a month.
Early 50s. You'll be a multimillionaire.
Oh, thank you. Good.
Which is nothing wrong with that.
I can deal with that.
Absolutely. That's young for this business. I know a lot of guys didn't get wealthy and big time till late 50s, early 60s. So you're actually you're in. Believe it or not, after wasting 14 years of your life at this station, you're looking good right now.
I feel good about that now. Thank you.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
There is a light.
None of us got mold poisoning from that old studio we were in and sample.
Well, we don't know yet.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
It takes a lot of years. Guys that worked down in 9/11, they find out 10 years later what the hell was going on, Agent Orange or whatever. So
yeah, I'll find out as soon as we get the big payday.
This kid thought he had cancer last year. Remember, he's making us say stop doing steroids. He stopped smoking weed.
Stop. I don't do nothing wrong.
What's that?
I don't do anything wrong.
I know.
How dare you?
Play the music. We're out of here, folks. That's it. Excellent job today, as always. Ricky B, thank you. Really good work. Z-Mac, great stuff today. And Langella, you're great. You're great. All of our guests today, Tamara Holder, Fox News, thank you very much. Hillary Clinton's chief strategist, and Bill's as well. Lanny Davis was terrific. Hall of Famer Mike Ditka talking about tonight's Bears-Dolphins game. Tom Brady and a host of other NFL issues. He was great, too. The former Yankee great Roy White. And from the National Review, Rich Lowry. I know we've got some good guests stopping by tomorrow. Of course, it's Friday, so the moderator of Meet the Press, Chuck Todd, will be here. You got some others lined up?
Yeah, nothing confirmed yet. I'm going to confirm them later.
So we got
today,
nothing. We got one.
We got Chuck Todd.
It'll be 5 by tomorrow, though.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 big names.
It was 2 when we left here yesterday.
Oh, I think Phil Sims may come on tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
He wanted to wish
That'd
us
be
a
awesome.
happy anniversary today, but he's on a flight from Newark to some game CBS has. So
okay.
He may come on tomorrow, too. So if you go Todd and
cool.
Sims, right off the bat, you've got a winner. So that's it for us. God willing, we're back again tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. So from all of us to all of you, thanks again for celebrating our anniversary. Until tomorrow at 6, have yourselves a blessed Thursday. Peace.
I did what I had to do.
Eating